Recession is the exact opposite. Everyone needs to be saving money, right? So nobody is spending money on nice to haves. They only spend money on things that are must haves, or on things that are either better or cheaper than what they currently have, right? So your offering either has to cost the same as what they already have and deliver better results, and you need to be able to prove that, or you deliver the same results for a smaller price, right? So give or take, it's one of the other. And I think you're noticing that the play that you're running, so the way in which you pitch and present your solution, which was working really well before, is now not working anymore. So I think the change that I would try to make is to position this as like an absolute must-have, like as something that, you know, is crucial. And I think you need to basically show quantitative. You show the customer, the prospect, the gap between their present state and their future state. So present state is basically today, their status quo, in which most likely there's an incumbent solution, a competitor like Pavilion, for example. And then the future state, which should be obviously ideally a better state, in which you insert yourself as a solution, and you need to show them the gap, which is basically that's a monetary gap, right? In other words, the cost of an action. So what I'm trying to identify here is ways to highlight cost of an action. So for example, what are 1,000 to 1,500 leads of the quality that you deliver? What is that worth, right? What's an expected conversion rate on those leads? And then maybe compare that to what other offerings are. Do you have information on that? So what I coach to my one-on-ones, right? I tell them you have 3 slides. And typically 1 slide is a POV, a point of view, right? So you're basically putting yourself in the shoes of a CMO in the recession, and you talk about their challenges. So you say nothing about you say nothing about hype cycle or go-to-market games. You just basically show them this point of view, like, hey, you're a marketer, you're in a recession, all of your budgets are cut, and you still need to deliver the MQLs. I'm making stuff up, it's probably something along those lines. Here are some of the challenges that we've heard from other customers, like, you know, budget cuts, I don't know, they don't have the tech stack, whatever. So you build a point of view that is really strongly anchored in their reality and in their pain, right? So it has to be a painful point of view. You're like, this sucks, so it has to be pain. That would be slide 1 for me. And then slide 2 is where you insert yourself as the solution. But instead of explaining every aspect of their solution in 22 slides, you just give them the high level impact, right? So like the motto, if you confuse them, you lose them. Like you keep it super simple, and you basically just talk about the results that they could expect if they work from you, which would basically be leads, awareness, like anything that is measurable, as much as possible it has to be, because I think if you cannot show that, then it's difficult to have the credibility. And then the third slide is just social proof. It's like, here are all of the logos that we've worked with, here are all of the CMOs that we've worked with, the C-level executives, etc. That for a 15-minute call, I would use these 3 slides, right? You have 3 slides that you're going to show. You're allowed to have an appendix. So you're allowed to have anything in the appendix that you think will help you handle questions that they ask. Just like for your 15-minute agenda, I would personally try to limit myself on the first 3 slides, because I don't know, and maybe you disagree, maybe you run this differently, but to me, like these 15 minutes, that's an intro call. The goal is to understand if there's an interest, if there's a fit, and obviously to do discovery, right? To understand if there's a fit, you know, what's the path forward? You know, who's typically and we can talk about discovery questions, but you know, who's making this decision? Is there a budget? What is the budget? Is there a competitor in place? Like, that's how you want to be spending your time on that call, right? It's like a give and a take. You give them something, which is great. You know, you're giving them the POV, your solution, and your social proof. But at the same time, you need to be working towards a mutual action plan. Like, you need to get an understanding of what are the next steps, who's involved, etc., etc. Obviously, if they ask, can you share more about the pricing? Then you can have the slide in the appendix, because we don't want to hide pricing, right? There's no reason to hide pricing. If they're going to ask for it, you can show it. But then again, like, you can ask them back and be like, okay, you know, I see you're already asking for pricing. Is there a budget that you have in mind, or is there a budget that you can allocate? So the upfront contract is actually a piece of the Sandra sales methodology, which is like an old, you know, like a couple decades, but it still works today really well. So the upfront contract is basically just a verbal agreement. You can put it in writing, but it's essentially a verbal agreement on how the call is going to go. So let's say you are on LinkedIn and you book a meeting with a 15-minute marketer, and they jump on the call. Basically, what you say in the beginning is 3 things. So, and this is part of the upfront contract. So number 1 is the purpose of the meeting, right? Is why are we meeting? So you're essentially telling them in one sentence, what's in it for them? So that can be something like, hey, look, Christian, the reason why I wanted to book this call with you today is you're a CMO, we're in a recession, and I have a very effective way for you to generate leads, for example. This can sound better, but you know, this is the purpose. With this one sentence, you're telling this person what can they expect of value in the next 15 minutes or the next 30 minutes. So that's the purpose. The second is the agenda. So you'll say something like, okay, we only have 15 minutes, right? It's super short. So to make sure we can cover everything, here's how this call is going to go. I have 3 slides for you. And basically on the first slide, I would love to ask you 2 to 3 high-level questions about how you run your business today. And then we can discuss how potentially we can help you. So what you're doing is you're anchoring them on an agenda, right? So there's 3 slides, and you also quantify the number of discovery questions you're going to ask. Because what's really important in those 15 minutes is that you don't get lost in your slides, because you're a marketing person, Julia, like, with all due respect, but I think you might have a tendency to